All right, really excited for this, and I'm not even going to hide it. I've told you this. I've told you guys this before. My favorite account to follow on Twitter when it comes to OU softball, the OU softball home run tracker. If you're not following the accounts, what are you really doing? Come on, at Sooner Prices. Terry Price now joins us. He runs the accounts. And whether you know it or not, you've been referenced several times on this podcast, Terry, because you put out some really cool stats. And it's mentioned on Diamond Envy quite a bit. The most recent one was hits allowed per inning. And Jordy Ball was number one. I think Hope was 15, and maybe Nicole May was 30. So you've got a really cool account going on right now. Where did the original idea come from?
So, I mean, I've been a huge OU fan my entire life. I really enjoy Twitter. My account, probably going back about a year or 18 months ago, we're just really trying to figure out what I wanted to do on Twitter, but followed a lot of OU stuff. Big St. Louis Cardinals fan as well, so followed a lot of Cardinal accounts. And, there's so many OU accounts that, they have their own identity. They either support all OU athletics or a specific sport. And there really wasn't anything that I felt like that was specific to OU softball.
Sure.
And I've always, OU softball is, even though like I told you earlier, I coached high school basketball, OU softball is one of my top two favorite sports at OU. The game is so exciting. I've been taking my daughters to softball games since they were little, and just really loved the sport and followed it. Gone to the College World Series many times, many games down in Norman. And so I thought, you know what? Why not? These girls are just like tearing it up, hitting home runs. So we're going to track the home runs on Twitter, and it's been really fun. And so I've enjoyed it.
We're having this conversation on Friday afternoon. Of course, OU's got a doubleheader later. They'll play Cal, then they'll play Hawaii at 10 p.m. Central Time. Do you have any big idea coming up when Jocelyn finally breaks the record on what you're going to do on the account?
I have some stuff that we're going to do. It's already kind of published a little bit.
Nice.
So it's ready to go for when she breaks it. So hopefully I'm not driving somewhere in the middle of something else, but we'll get it posted as soon as it happens. And I really felt like being on her home turf last night, her relaxed a little bit. And then when I saw the Baylor coach said he was going to pitch to her, I was like, this is the night. And she hit the ball hard yesterday, but it didn't happen. But I believe it's going to happen this weekend.
I do too. And what a storybook ending that would be. I mean, you can't script something like that. Baylor did end up pitching to her. I got to feel like whether they really wanted to or not, which Jossie was great against Baylor last night, but there's got to be an incredible amount of pressure. Like, okay, we can't intentionally walk her in her home state. Like, doing it in Norman's one thing, doing it in California is the other. But you can't intentionally walk the girl when they're going back to Hawaii and she has a chance at this record. So I'm glad that teams are finally pitching to her. And I feel like it's a record that is never going to be touched again in college softball. And I think that, but then I watched Tiare Jennings hit one about 300 feet last night. And maybe, Terry, you're doing this whole thing coming up in about 3 years with the tear that she's on so far in her career.
Well, with the team that Patty's put together, I mean, it is awesome what Jocelyn's doing, but she's not the only one on that team that is putting balls out of the park. I mean, it's every girl on that roster, and it makes that team, really fun to watch with no matter who you're a fan of, whether you're a fan of the Oklahoma Sooners or whether it's the Alabama Crimson Tide or whether you're still in high school. And that's one thing that I didn't really expect when I started doing this. It's just people from all spectrums. It's just not OU Sooners who follow the account on Twitter. It's there's lots of girls that play high school softball, lots of people that are fans of other teams. And so that's, that they like watching and following this OU team and what they do at the plate.
Sure. I keep calling them the show just because when they show up anywhere, fans from everywhere are showing out. Why would you not want to see Jordy Ball and Jocelyn Allo and Tiare Jennings and Patty Gasso? It really kind of is the show just how many household names a college softball team has. And I got to feel, Terry, you were saying that you've taken your daughter to games in Norman, games in Oklahoma City before. I'm going to guess that this is probably going to be the best attended Women's College World Series we've ever seen. Probably the highest ratings. College softball is just booming right now. And it kind of seems like Oklahoma is really leading the way in all that. And for anyone that's never, gone out to Oklahoma City for the WCWS, you can speak to it, Terry. It's everything that you get in baseball, but in a shorter time frame. It's in a lot of ways maybe more exciting. You get the great catches, the great pitching, the home runs. I love that the girls come out of the dugout and lead chants with the crowd. It's just, I don't know. NIL has touched a lot of things. College sports has changed so much in the past 10 years, but it seems like college softball is the one sport that really hasn't been changed by the changing landscape of the NCAA.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. I mean, you go to the softball games, and between the girl, like you said, the girls chanting, the crowds are full. Me and some of my friends that also follow, the OU softball team, we started to recognize, hey, this is starting to grow. I mean, obviously the people at the Hall of Fame Stadium recognized it. They started adding on. I mean, I think they could add more seats if there's room for it, and they would continue to fill those up because it's one of the biggest growing sports in in the world, as far as, what it's gone from, 5-10 years ago to where it's at now. There's just so many more people following it and realizing this is an exciting game. And especially a lot of people who are huge baseball fans like myself. I have to admit, I love my Cardinals, but softball's a lot more exciting game than baseball.
I've been dreading even bringing this up on the podcast because I feel like once I do bring it up, they'll lose a game. But they're 17-0 so far this year. Is it fair, Terry, to even have the conversation that this team can go undefeated this year?
I definitely think that it's possible that not only can this team go undefeated this year, but that I'm not sure what the winning streak is in softball, but I definitely think that they could put a streak together even beyond this year. I mean, Jocelyn Allo is amazing, but if you look at that roster, they're going to have a pretty stout roster for the next 2-3 years. I mean, they could put something really amazing together over the next few years, and it's really exciting to watch it currently, but also to think about what is in store for these girls down the road, even past this year.
Again, he's Terry Price, OU softball home run tracker account on Twitter at Sooner Prices. Go follow it there because there's great stats. He's really kind of all over the softball team right now with some really, really cool content. In the circle, God, we talk about this team and their ability at the plate, but kind of just magically here, relatively early on in the season, talk about how this team can hit all you want. I think up and down, they probably have the best pitching staff in all of college softball at this point.
Yeah, they definitely have three of probably the best pitchers in, 1, 2, 3. I don't know that anybody has anything that can touch what Patty's put together for the circle there. Jordy's just amazing. We knew that she was going to be really good with what she did in high school, but not everyone leaves high school and comes to college and then, keeps that same level of performance, and she's done it. And Nicole May looked amazing last night and looked amazing all year. Hope has been amazing before she even came to Oklahoma. She throws not only does she throw a perfect game, she throws a perfect game where every out was a strikeout.
Yeah.
I mean, who does that? I mean, that's just not even –
it's ridiculous.
Yes, you wouldn't think that that's fathomable. I'm sure it's happened before somewhere, in history, but it's just amazing to think about that. And so these are the people that Patty's put together to assembled for her pitching staff. And it is just as exciting as the way these girls can hit.
Last question I have for you. Yeah, last question I have for you. And you've created this Twitter account with a ton of followers. Do you have one particular follower that is maybe more high profile than the rest? Have you had some maybe interesting conversations with some people affiliated with the OU softball program, players, coaches, whoever? Like, who's kind of that one follow that you've gotten to where you said, like, wow, this account has really done some big things?
Well, I really haven't had a lot of the players have not followed me back, but a lot of their family members do. And you don't really realize it, and then you start seeing, you start putting the names together, and then they continually like or retweet some of the content, and you're like, oh, that's so and so's mother or grandmother. The other day, I realized Elam's grandmother was following me. She was
Yeah.
posting about some things going on with their family, and I'm like, oh wow, I didn't realize that person followed me. But I've kind of sent some hints to Jocelyn Allo to maybe follow the account. She hasn't followed it yet, but that would be amazing. I think, to me, that's like if we could get Jocelyn to follow the account, then that would kind of be amazing for me. But
Yeah, no doubt that would be awesome. And I can't wait to see what you put out when she finally breaks the record. Hopefully that's this weekend. Terry Price, OU Softball Home Run Tracker, Twitter account. Give it a follow if you haven't already, at Sooner Prices. Terry, thanks for your time. And again, I can't wait to see what you put out once the record's finally broken.
Well, thanks for having me, Tyler. Yeah. Have a good one.
Okay.